The night felt heavier than the rain that soaked the city streets, the kind of night where lives quietly split into before and after without warning. Somewhere high above the glittering skyline, a powerful woman stood on the edge of losing everything she had built, while across town a tired single father tucked his child into bed, unaware that fate was already moving them toward each other. What happened next would begin with one condition, one impossible request, and a choice that would test love, dignity, and sacrifice in ways neither of them could have imagined. Before the story pulls you in any deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when broken people find each other, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from today. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them. Ethan Carter had not planned to become a single father, and certainly not at 29, with grief still fresh enough to sting every time he heard his daughter's laughter echo through their small apartment. His wife had died suddenly, leaving behind a silence that never fully lifted, no matter how hard Ethan tried to fill it with bedtime stories, warm dinners, and gentle routines. Every morning he woke before dawn, preparing breakfast with one hand while holding his sleepy little girl, Lily, with the other. He worked long hours as a night shift caretaker in a corporate tower downtown, a job that barely paid the bills but allowed him to keep Lily close and safe. His life was built on exhaustion, love, and an unbreakable promise to never let his daughter feel abandoned again. At the very top floor of that same tower lived a completely different kind of loneliness. Victoria Hale, the celebrated CEO of Hale Biotech, was admired in magazines and feared in boardrooms. She had clawed her way to the top with intelligence, discipline, and sacrifice, trading youth, love, and family for success. Now, at 42, her empire was under threat from a cruel clause in her late father's will. The family-controlled shares would transfer to distant relatives unless she produced an heir within the year. It wasn't just about money, it was about legacy, about proving she was more than a temporary steward of her father's dream. Behind closed doors, the woman who commanded thousands felt desperately small, trapped by time and expectation. Their worlds collided quietly, almost invisibly. Ethan had seen Victoria only in passing, a composed figure moving through marble halls, her presence sharp and untouchable. She had noticed him too, not at first as a man, but as a father. She saw the way he read children's books during breaks, the way Lily waited for him in the lobby some nights, curled up with a stuffed rabbit and complete trust in her eyes. In a building full of ambition and ego, that small family felt real in a way Victoria's life never had. The night everything changed was supposed to be ordinary. Ethan stayed late to finish his rounds, unaware that Victoria was unraveling upstairs, her lawyer's words echoing in her head like a countdown. Desperation has a way of sharpening instinct, and hers led her to the one person in the building who represented what she lacked most. When she finally stood before Ethan, stripped of titles and armor, her request was as shocking as it was fragile. She needed a child to save everything she had built, and she needed someone she could trust. Ethan felt the ground shift beneath him. His life had already been defined by responsibility and loss, and now he was being asked to step into something that felt morally impossible and emotionally dangerous. He thought of Lily asleep at home, of the promise he made beside a hospital bed to always choose love over convenience. He knew that whatever decision he made would shape not just his future, but his daughter's. So he did the only thing he could do. He set one condition, a condition rooted not in money or power, but in humanity. Any child brought into this world would be raised with honesty, care, and real family, not as a legal solution or corporate asset. The weeks that followed were filled with tension and quiet transformation. Victoria, who had controlled every variable in her life, found herself learning patience and vulnerability. She watched Ethan with Lily and felt something soften inside her, something unfamiliar and frightening. Ethan, in turn, began to see past Victoria's sharp edges to the woman beneath, a woman who had never been taught how to receive love without earning it. Their arrangement forced them into proximity, into shared meals, shared silences, and shared fears. Slowly, the lines between obligation and connection began to blur. The world outside didn't make it easy. Rumors whispered through the company, board members circled like vultures, and Ethan struggled with guilt, wondering if he was betraying his own values by standing so close to power. Some nights he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, questioning whether he was strong enough to protect Lily and himself from the consequences of this strange path. Victoria faced her own reckoning, confronting the emptiness of a life measured only in success. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine mornings filled with small hands and unfiltered laughter instead of quarterly reports. Change came not as a grand moment, but as a series of quiet realizations. Ethan realized that his condition had given him back something he thought he lost forever, the right to hope again. Victoria realized that the child she sought was not just a requirement, but an invitation to become someone better. When the legal battles reached their peak and the future of the company hung in the balance, it was no longer fear driving their choices, but care for the fragile family forming between them. Lily, innocent and observant, became the heart of it all. Her easy acceptance, her unguarded affection, showed Victoria what unconditional love looked like for the first time. It reminded Ethan that family was not defined by tragedy or circumstance, but by the courage to show up every day. As deadlines loomed and decisions were finalized, the three of them stood on the edge of something terrifying and beautiful, knowing there was no going back to who they had been before. Just before the ending of this story, take a moment and tell us in the comments what this journey has made you feel so far, because your voice is part of what gives stories like this their meaning. When the dust finally settled, what remained was not just a saved company or a fulfilled condition, but a redefined legacy. Victoria discovered that everything she feared losing was small compared to what she had gained. Ethan learned that protecting his heart didn't mean closing it off forever. Together, they built something fragile and real, choosing honesty over secrecy and love over fear. The night that began with desperation ended with possibility, proving that sometimes the most impossible requests lead to the most human outcomes. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe even a little more in redemption, sacrifice, and unexpected love, please like the video, share it, and stay with this channel. Your engagement keeps these stories alive, and somewhere out there, someone needs to hear this one tonight.